Warning: this program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for all things Warcraft, with your hosts, Berzerker and Navox. This is Unshackled Fury.
Beta is here, Torghast is running wild, but for now, we're bringing you something altogether extraordinary. Welcome to episode 72 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, your uncensored home for all things Warcraft. I'm your host, Berzerker. With me, as always, is the poet laureate to my Rhodes Scholar, Navox. And today we bring you a very special episode. Our conversation with Shadows Rising author and all-around Azerothian champion, Madeleine Roux. She threw out the call to Warcraft shows across the land to chat with her about this latest Warcraft pre-expansion novel, and well, we just couldn't pass up on that opportunity. I will caution that we do discuss spoilers for Shadows Rising, so be warned, but we had a great time talking with her about her life and works, and I hope you'll enjoy it too. Here now, our conversation with one of our own, author Madeleine Roux. Welcome, folks, and thanks for tuning in as we have an outstanding guest with us here today. She's a New York Times best-selling author, having penned both the Asylum and House of Furies series, among other projects. She's also a brutal weight room war machine, a Warcraft player, and today she's here to discuss her latest project, the World of Warcraft pre-expansion novel Shadows Rising, which details the events leading up to the shattering of the Helm of Domination by Sylvanas Windrunner and our foray into Shadowlands. They say you can't make great cooking without a killer Roux, and I hope we have the secret sauce here today. So Madeleine Roux, welcome to Unshackled Fury. How are you? And how has the whirlwind tour of Warcraft podcasts and streams been treating you?
Thank you for having me. I get the most exciting intros with these Warcraft podcasts. Everyone picks out something different to use. I love it. I'm great. I mean, we've launched, and so, it's out in the world, and now we just sort of sit back and hope that people enjoy it. So yeah, I'm just enjoying hearing everyone's thoughts and feedback and kind of just riding the wave. But yeah, it's been great.
Now, when the book comes out, do you, or does your agent or your publisher, do they like fastidiously go over the numbers and like, how are we doing today? What's going on? Are we going up? Are we going down? Do we need another hit piece over here? Like, what's going on? Do you track it that closely, or is it just kind of like, I hope it does well, and they'll tell me?
No, I mean, my mom is like that, so actually she'll be like checking, she'll message me every time it goes up on the Amazon rating. Every time I posted something about it, it's because my mom's brought it to my attention. I've done this for so long now that I almost like jinx it in a way if I look too much. So I just kind of like hope, and I've done all of these podcasts and YouTube channels, and I just hope that my enthusiasm has come through. I hope I've done as much as I can, and then you just have to hope for the best. But yeah, no, I mean, so far we're very happy. Everything's going really well. Especially on Audible, it seems to be doing super great. So yeah, everyone's really happy, and I'm just happy that the fandom's happy. That's all I care about. So.
Do you dare go into a place like Reddit and see comments or other places like that, or as a seasoned veteran, do you know better? You're just like, you know what?
No,
I got it out.
No,
I don't need that.
I know better. And also, I kind of have this feeling of like, sometimes I'll get an urge and I'll maybe like poke my head in for a sec, but then inevitably I just think this feels kind of voyeuristic. Like, I want people to have a safe space to talk about it without like worrying that I'm spying on them, and it's okay to like dislike it, right? So to me it's like, I don't know. That's not useful. It's not useful for anyone, right? Because I would just get defensive, and it's totally someone's right to not like it. So no one wins if I'm in there kind of poking around. I will say I've had really cute things happen where like some friends of mine who play really religiously, like they'll screenshot things from their guild talking about it, where people are like excited and happy, and they'll send that to me, and that feels really good. So like, yeah, little things like that are great, and I'm getting tons of tweets and DMs and things like that from people who are excited. So I try to just like let it be what it is, and leave well enough alone. But I am active actually on the subreddit, like when I'm not promoting this kind of stuff, like when I just poke around just to like be informed and read people's, lore theories and whatever else. But yeah, when it's something like this, I kind of step away and let people say what they want to say. So.
That's very gracious of you, because I know a lot of us would be looking over that stuff going, no, you're wrong. This is not what I said, or this is not why I said that. And
yeah, and at the end of the day, you have to sort of let, like, you know what? I wrote what I wrote, and it has to stand on its own or not. And I choose to just sort of step away and let it be what it is. So.
Well, and we're going to talk a lot about the actual thing that you're here for, Shadows Rising. We'll get into all that here in a little bit, but what folks may not know, as we've kind of alluded to already, is that you are a seasoned writer. You have a couple of series out. You have other projects that you've worked on. So this isn't necessarily your first rodeo in any way that I can think of, other than it's, I guess, the first pre-expansion. It's a very specific
thing. It's not even my first Warcraft book. So.
Yeah, it's not even your first Warcraft piece.
Yeah.
Going back to when you're initially getting into writing as a career, I mean, is this something that people are encouraging of? Like, do your parents or family like say, yes, go do that thing? Or is it like, no, get that side gig as an accountant first and then see how it plays out? Like, did you get a lot of encouragement growing up doing this?
It's funny. I think there came a point when it just became so obvious that this was what I was meant to do, that my parents just sort of like let go and said, you know what, you seem really passionate about this, and we feel like you're going to do much better if you're pursuing something that you really care about. And, I'm the youngest of 3 kids, so I think by the time I came around, they kind of trusted that like I would find my way, as both my brothers did. They're both successful, well realized, great individuals. And so I think they were like, okay, she's going to be the dark horse. She's kind of the creative one. And, but we've done our best, and she seems really dedicated. She seems really motivated. And so, yeah, they were super supportive. And, even right out of the gate when I was graduating college. And honestly, I will say, I don't think they even really had a chance to doubt me, because I got published almost straight out of university. So there wasn't that period of like, like, is this going to be, how long is this going to drag on? And I was pragmatic about it too, right? I was actually applying to grad school when I got published. So it's not like I was sort of had no plan B, C, D, I was aware of how hard it would be to make this my job. And yeah, but luckily, they never had to really have that put to the test in that sense. I got published pretty fast. So once that happened, I think they were like, all right, she's got it. She gets it. She has what it takes. And but even before that, when I told them like, this is going to be my major, this is going to be my focus, they were always very supportive. Well,
now you went to, correct me if I'm mispronouncing this, but Beloit?
Beloit. It's boring. Beloit? Yeah. Even though
I'm trying to make it super fancy.
Even though it's in Wisconsin and by a bunch of French named things, yes, it is. Okay. It's just plain old Beloit. Yeah.
And is that primarily focused on writing, theater arts, liberal arts, something?
I mean, that's what I went for, but no, it's they're best known actually for anthropology, which is what I started in. I went for archaeology, anthropology, and actually the person who became the inspiration for Indiana Jones went to Beloit and is like Graham Chapman Andrews. He's like our baby boy we love to trot out. He's on all the promo material and whatever else, but yeah, he was like handsome, and he was more into like I think he was more like a dinosaur guy, but yeah, he was like a hot turn of the century,
the hot dinosaur guy,
like anthropologist, archaeologist. Yeah. So he ended up being the inspiration for Indiana Jones in many ways. And so, yeah, I actually went for something totally different and then discovered I was terrible at it and switched to writing and acting. Yeah.
Right on. And this was Allison Hewitt is Trapped. Is that your
that was my first book. Yep.
Published?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that comes about as a result. In the book form, it's a blog, or it started out as a blog, or that's both?
Both.
How does that come
together?
Both,
yeah. I was publishing it for free online, sort of a blog post, a chapter at a time. And then people started to find it and comment, and I would sort of like weave them into the narrative and respond to their questions in the book and things like that. And so it's reproduced as a blog in the novel as well. So, it looks like one, it has the comments underneath it and all that kind of stuff. So it's still up there too, like however much I did before we actually just like I got discovered and we turned it into a novel. So it's there as like an artifact, but it was really interesting and exciting. I don't know if you could get published that way these days. That was, almost 10 years ago. So there's a lot less sort of noise, I think, on the internet. But it was a crazy way to get discovered, and we took that project I was doing for fun and ended up turning it into my first published novel.
And when you're writing about a zombie apocalypse, do you understand at that time that you're preparing yourself for a real apocalypse, which you may have to live through in 2020?
Yeah, it is funny. Like, I have a lot of friends who have written apocalyptic fiction, and we're all like, "Wow, well, I guess that was all just practice, and now we know." And a lot of things I haven't come to pass yet, but I do feel prepared.
It's like when I see William Gibson commenting about Neuromancer, and he's like, "Here are some of the things that I totally got right, but cell phones I totally missed." It's just there's always that gap.
Yeah, and I write sci-fi now too. I have one out, and I'm finishing a second one, and there's so many things where you're like, I wonder, like, I bet there's something that I'm total like is so obvious that I'm missing, but you just have to kind of like hope that you got it right.
So you go from one zombie apocalypse, and then you get into writing the Asylum series. Is that the next?
I did 2 zombie books, and then I had my young adult debut when I did the Asylum series. Yeah.
What's it like working in that arena, young adult novels? It seems like a very interested group, a very active group of readers.
Yeah, they're super energetic. It's honestly great. Like, you get so much feedback, you get so much kind of instantaneous response, and I don't know. There's something great about it because everything's really heightened. You're writing about teenagers, so their emotional landscape is really intense. Their hormonal landscape is really intense. So everything, like, the stakes are always super high, right? Even if it's something kind of simple, because when you're that age, like, everything feels like the end of the world, whether or not that's true. So,
it's true.
So it was a ton of fun, and it was a challenge. Like, I never considered writing for young adult, and then the opportunity kind of presented itself, and they were looking for someone to kind of do a series in that vein, and so I took it, and it was super different and super fun. And I, honest to God, I had no idea it would blow up the way it did. I thought it would be like a silly one-off thing that I did, and that I would go back to writing. I would write like historical romance or something. I don't know. I had no idea. So
oh my.
It was very odd, and then it kind of kicked off this whole other branch of my career where now I write about 50-50 young adult and adult. So it was super super crazy, just this wild confluence of events, and all of a sudden I was a New York Times bestseller out of the blue. So
just happened, just overnight.
It really did. I wish it was a more romantic story. I was kind of in like the absolute dregs of my life. I was back living with my parents. I was like, I don't know if I'm any good at this. Everything's terrible. What am I doing? And then I, got that phone call. So it was pretty wild. Yeah, changed everything.
Now, who calls you for that? Does your agent call you, or the publisher call you?
Your editor usually will let you know. Yeah. Or like they'll either email your agent or someone, and there'll sort of be like a little chain begins, a little ripple begins, and then someone inevitably will like email and be like, "Oh, are you available for a phone call?" And you're like, "Yeah, I can take a call." And then
sure,
yeah, and then the next thing you know, you're screaming on your front lawn. So
Do you get some kind of memento or award or an edible arrangement or something from your folks that are like,
no,
yes, congratulations?
you just go out with your friends and no. I mean, it's great. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just saying there's no one like shows up to there's no singing telegram. Like you know, it just kind of happens and you're excited about it and you celebrate however you choose to, and that's it. Yeah.
And now every time you come on a podcast, we're obligated by some law that says
that's
this
right.
New York Times bestseller.
That's right.
And you get to wear the shirt, New York Times bestseller, and all I got.
Shirt will
was a
go
shirt.
on my grave too. So.
Well, a lot better than what's going to go on mine, which was he got fat and died. You know, so at least you got that. So
I got one
great.
good thing going, yeah.
You know, hey, take that one thing, just run with it. So with Asylum, that's predominantly, I don't know, is a horror series. Is that the vein that would be considered?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, American Horror Story, kind of for teenagers, sort of situation. Yeah.
For at least a few of the works that you've done, I mean, do you consider yourself a horror writer or just a writer and you have ventured into various genres?
I think, if you asked me that question 2 years ago, my answer would have been yes, I'm a horror author, but it was never what I sort of pictured myself as. And I always knew I would go back to doing other things. I've always had a broad interest in terms of what I want to publish. So, now I've done sci-fi and fantasy as well. So I'm sort of branching out back into other things that I've always been interested in. So, I think if you asked me that a little while ago, I would have said yeah. But nowadays, I really don't. I just think of myself as just sort of my style and what I'm interested in is my brand. And if you like horror, I have tons of it out there for you. But now I'm sort of also doing sci-fi. I'm also doing fantasy, and also, now going forward, I have a bunch of other stuff that I'm going to be focusing on. So
excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because when your name came up originally, and it was like when I ordered this Shadows Rising, I think I pre-ordered it back in February.
Sure.
Which now
nice,
feels
early
like
adopter. Thank you.
I have a lot of faith in you.
Oh, thank you.
And let me tell you one of the reasons why. So I hear this name. I go, Madeleine Roux. Where do I know this from? I know this from another book.
Yes, I have done the Star Wars. Yes, I have.
Which is the From a Certain Point of View collection, which was, correct me if I'm wrong here, a 40-year celebration of the original Star Wars.
Yes, that was also a crazy phone call.
So I wanted to talk about that. So your story in here, it doesn't surprise me that you are someone who has a background in writing about things that are terrifying, because your story in here, folks, you should read this thing. The title of the short story is called Eclipse, and it goes into essentially the final days on Alderaan.
Final moments, not even final days. I think it's the final hour. It's like the last 45 minutes of Alderaan.
And like into the last second.
Yep.
And it's scary as hell.
Yeah, and the title itself is so great, right? It's so ominous because Alderaan has no moons. So it is its first and last eclipse.
It was brutal.
It is brutal, yeah.
And in reading the story, what kind of caught me, and I think this speaks to your skill as a writer, which you have an abundance of, but the way in which you describe an eclipse is very much the way that you experience one, because it's very unnerving.
Yeah.
Having experienced one, and when the light starts to dim and the temperature changes, it is eerie as hell.
Yeah, it's a strange experience, and I think too, if especially if you're on a planet where you've literally never had one in your entire life, and just the context too. I mean, if you're familiar with Star Wars, just the sense of like knowing Leia's out there, knowing she's kind of on this incredibly dire mission, and then also kind of vaguely being aware that the Death Star could be in play, and then having it show up. But to that point, nobody knows what it's capable of, really. Like, there's whispers, and we kind of see it in Rogue One, but up until that moment, they've never been able to actually destroy an entire planet with it. So I think the initial feeling is like, oh my gosh, they're going to destroy our city, right? They're going to target us. But there's no expectation that the whole planet will be gone. So
right. What's it like to be Jimmy Smits? Is it as cool as I hope it is?
Well, honestly, the focus is Brea, right? I mean, she's really the star of that piece, and she never really gets enough credit or enough play, I think. I mean, now she has. She's been in a bunch of the books now, but yeah, no, it was just really cool to come in and get to like focus on her and focus on. I mean, I'm obviously a huge Star Wars nut. I have a Star Wars tattoo sleeve. Leia is prominently featured and part of it, and yeah, so just to get to like think about her mom and her dad in their last moments and sort of what they would be doing and what they would be thinking. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, to this day, I still like I've almost blacked it out in the sense of like people bring it up. I'm like, oh God, you're right. I did do that. Like it's so intense. It's so surreal. It's almost hard. I mean, I feel the same way actually in a lot of senses about this Warcraft book where it's something I just never thought I would ever get to do. So talking about it is incredibly surreal.
So how does that project come together? How do you just get the call and say, hey, there's this thing out there, people are interested in you, or you put out feelers, or how do you get connected with that? 'Cause Star Wars is monument. I mean, like you said, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it happens a few different ways. I had all along been putting out there like, hey, here, you know, you do have to make it known if you're an author that's kind of working and published and you've kind of gotten a few things out there. You do have to have it in the wind kind of that like, yes, I would like to write for franchises because a lot of authors don't. Like, they just don't want to do it. So, yeah, you do have to. I mean, because they don't like the parameters or I think some people have like a bad association with it. Like, it's like cheap or, you know what I mean? Like
selling out.
Right, yeah. I think there's like a selling out kind of element to it, which is nonsense. But you know, everyone gets to have their own feelings about their career. And yeah, so I just let my agent know, you know, hey, if so-and-so or so-and-so or so-and-so ever comes calling or knocking, or you hear that they need people, like, I'm available. So you kind of let them know like what your interests are and what your fandom interests would be. Like, there are certain things I probably would never take just because I don't know them and I'm not particularly interested in them. So but yeah, so you just say like, here are kind of my credentials in terms of fandom and what I would like to do. And then if anything turns up, you know, they put your name in the ring. And for this, my agent had other authors that she represented who were going to be in it, and they were like, hey, we're still looking for people, like, do you have any ideas? And she's like, oh, I've got an idea. Like, check out this person. So yeah, so then it was just a matter of kind of proving they had to look over all my stuff, obviously, and kind of be like, okay, she can, you know, she's got the chops for this or whatever else. So yeah, it's sometimes you have to. I didn't have to audition for that. I had to audition for the first Warcraft book that I did, but yeah, it can kind of happen any number of ways. But generally speaking, you do have to let people know that you want to do it. So,
do you get to pick that subject, or is that subject given to you? Like, here's what we're needing a story about. Dive into it. Or you're like, I have a really great idea. This is a moment that we should capture of this family right at the end.
So I came in with a unique challenge because they needed more female authors specifically, and they wanted more female perspectives specifically. And I don't know if you're familiar with that movie. There aren't a lot of women in it, so
what?
Yeah, crazy, right? So I had to.
I don't know what you're talking about. I totally know what you're talking about.
Right. So I had to sort of. I mean, I pitched basically every other woman who's on screen in that movie, and they were like, nope, that's taken. Nope, that's taken. Nope, that's taken. So. Pretty much on a desperate whim, I was like, okay, well, technically, you see this happen. I don't know if this counts, but what if we did, you know, Brea Organa on Alderaan as it's exploding? Because you do see it explode. She's there somewhere. Theoretically, it happens on screen. And so they were like, yeah, great. And I, honest to God, did not think they would accept it, so that I had to actually do it. And that was terrifying. But, yeah, that's just how that stuff happens. You know, they were like, we need more women, and you're a woman. Okay, pitch a woman. And I was like, oh, great. Well, there's like 2 of them in this movie, and they're already taken. So I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I did. Obviously, I'm super proud of that piece. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done. So
it's beautiful and brutal all at the same time.
Thank you.
I certainly can't speak from a mother's perspective, just from a parent's perspective of it really captures that panic of something's happened to my child or something's happening with my child. And like, I can't worry about dress alterations. I can't worry about accommodations for these other folks. Like, this is all-consuming.
Yep.
And then this other terrible thing has happened. It's really beautiful piece of writing, and I really recommend people go out and check it out. So here's another plug: Star Wars from a certain point of view. One of our favorites, Christy Golden's got a great story in here, and there's several other people that you folks will know. But check it out; it's great. And I think there's another one coming for Empire.
They're doing one for Empire too. I'm not a part of that one, but Christy's in that one, so I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, it's
phenomenal. So, shifting gears. What everybody's waiting for, I suppose. Warcraft. We like Warcraft. Everybody here likes Warcraft. That's what we're talking about. So Warcraft Traveler, this Traveler series. I originally became familiar with it at a BlizzCon several years ago. I picked up the first copy for my son, but there have been more since. So this is a whole.
There's 3. Yeah, it's a trilogy.
Yeah. So how, for you, does that come together? And I guess, can you describe for folks that maybe have never seen it or read it what this series is about?
Sure. It's 2 years ago. I'm at a Renaissance festival in California with some of my best friends in the world. I'm down there specifically to see these people. We're all in costume like a bunch of nerds hanging out, drinking mead, eating turkey legs. And my friend turns to me and goes, "Man, we really cannot find someone to finish out this Traveler series." And I was like, "I'll do it."
Oh,
there you go.
Deals over turkey legs. That's
well,
perfect.
It wasn't a deal necessarily. It was more of a put me in the running, right? Because there were other authors that I know. I don't know who, but I know there were other authors up for it. So I was basically saying put me forward. If I get it, I'd love to do it. That'd be great. I've been playing since vanilla. Why not? And they were like, "Oh, I didn't even." Yeah, you're right. I didn't even make that connection. And it was also middle grade. I've never written for middle grade, so that was part of it too. Was that it was an age group that I wasn't necessarily, doing actively writing books for them. So, so after that, it was just a matter of auditioning. I had to write a sample and stuff like that. And then I got it and I wrote it. So.
Who does that sample go to? Who are the decision makers? Do you know? I
mean, the editorial people at Blizzard. They have a whole subgroup that's in the publishing side of things that work on the books. I'm sure also maybe game. I'm not sure because Traveler is exclusively. It doesn't impact the game world because it's in the past.
Right.
It's taking place previous to the modern time that we're in. So I'm not even sure if game dev people really even looked at it, but the editorial side of the Blizzard, juggernaut looked at it and thought it was right, thought I got it. You have to, it's 2 other books by a different author. Greg did an incredible job. So part of my job was to know those books super, super well, to know the characters inside and out, to know his style, to try not exactly mimic it, but at least make the characters feel consistent. So there were a number of challenges with that, to try and pick up kind of where he left off and round the series out. But I don't know, I wasn't privy to the conversations about me getting chosen. I just know that it worked.
Yeah, I can't imagine how nerve-wracking that must be to send your work out like that and have a group of people taking a look at it. But I suppose this, again, you've done these kinds of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're hoping you get it, but you also have to always be, I just sent out a short story that got rejected. It happens, you have to be ready for there could always be a no on the other side of it, but you obviously there could never be a yes if you don't try. So
well, you miss 100% of the shots you
That's
don't
right.
take.
Yes, you gotta take that shot.
That's what that man said. So going from that into Shadows Rising, into also A Moment in Verse, where is kind of our timeline there of starting with the first piece that you've done with Blizzard and then moving now into the present? Is that something where there's a continual conversation? Are they kind of bringing you along on things, or is it just sort of come out of the blue and they're like, "Hey, we've got this expansion. You know what we're doing. Yeah. We need somebody to step in here. Are you available?"
I had no idea. I thought Traveler number 3 was my Blizzard career. I had no clue. I finished it. I turned it in. It only came out, like this past December, like right around Christmas. But so I'd obviously finished it about a year before then. That's about how long it takes to publish something. And so, yeah, it was wild. Like, I thought it was done. I thought I was, great. They were happy. I mean, I knew they liked what I had done.
Good.
But I also knew, like, this isn't going to be a bestseller. It's the third in the series. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of just know what you're signing up for, right? And and then, like, I finished it, and then I think, several months went by. I'm trying to think. Probably 4 or 5 months went by, and then I got an email one day that was just like, hey, do you want to do this Shadowlands book? I was like, yeah, definitely. Let's do it. Let's hook that up. So yeah, it was, it was just like, I had no clue. I knew they liked, again, I knew they liked what I'd done on that Traveler book, but yeah, I thought that was it. I thought, I'm open, shut, done. I've done my Blizzard work. And then it just kind of came out of nowhere that they were looking for someone to do it, and they liked working with me and thought I had a good, they wanted to see what I would do in a bigger project in a more adult sort of focus. And so that I got that email a little over a year ago, maybe a year ago, April-ish. That's
a quick turnaround.
Yes, I write very quickly. Yeah.
Wow.
That's part of this. This part of this job. If you want to be in IP work, if you want to write for franchises, you don't get a lot of time.
So you knew about Shadowlands before the rest of us. Clearly.
Yes, I knew what the expansion was. I knew, but I mean, there were already videos out by that point that were like predicting it. You know what I mean? Like, I had my. I was aware.
Don't we know?
Yeah, I was aware of what was potentially coming. And I was just paying attention as a fan, right? Like, I was watching Taliesin's, but like, I was just watching like that stuff just as a fan.
Yeah.
And then so I got that email, and obviously there's back and forth in terms of contract stuff and timing and all that stuff. But I didn't have to audition for that because they'd seen my entire contribution to Traveler, so that was sort of my other audition, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process. Again, I wasn't there for those meetings, but yeah.
How hard is it to keep that secret?
Very, very hard. Very, 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 very hard. Especially because I am a fan and I know so many people who play, so not just running immediately to everybody and telling them. The only people who really knew were like, maybe my very, very best friend and my family. That was it. So.
And you came in vanilla since 04, 05? You've been playing that long,
it was definitely pre-Burning Crusade. I don't remember like what exact month or whatever I came in, but I was raiding and stuff like that. Yeah.
Are you still a fairly active player? Has this burned you out at all? Like, people who go work for Disneyland are like, I can't take it anymore.
No.
Like, I got to get out.
I was worried about that. Honestly, I was really worried about it. But no, if anything, it's made me love it more because I appreciate how much work goes into it. Now I'm friends with a bunch of the devs. I've talked to a bunch of people who do more. I've kind of talked to every side of it now, and I see more of what goes into it. And no, if anything, it's only made me a bigger fan. So
that's excellent. When those leaks do start happening in real time, do you start freaking out a little bit and going, oh shit, the secret might get out? Maybe someone's gonna guess that I'm writing this book. I gotta disappear off all social media for a week.
It was interesting because no one guessed that it was gonna be me. I will say, like, the week before it came out, the book itself, when leaks started to come out, I was a little nervous, but then it only actually ended up helping us, so I got over that fear real quick. And my only thing is that I just want people to be able to experience it without being spoiled. So my first instinct is always to just worry about the people who are really trying to experience it in the moment and not have any spoilers. I do feel for those people. So
I appreciate that, because I will tell you, I go to extraordinary lengths like an idiot to try to stay away from all data mining and all this other stuff. It never works.
Yeah.
But
not me. I'm all in on spoilers. I'm good with that.
Yeah, it's all your fault.
I'm not. I like to be unspoiled. So this was, this was one of those things where I'm like, well, I'm going to be spoiled, but it's for a greater good. So.
Yeah. Well, I know, Nav, you had some questions about a moment in verse. So if you want to jump in here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to know if a moment in verse was a completely separate story altogether, or was it originally part of Shadows Rising, and was that a thing, or was it just two completely separate stories altogether?
So Shadows Rising was done more or less, and then we were people are like, oh my god, I found a typo. I'm like, we literally did this book in a pandemic. Like, yes, my broad work was done before COVID hit, but like editing, like the tiny detail stuff that was all done in the middle of the pandemic. So like people were on work from home, they were taking time out because people were getting sick, like it's not like there were distribution problems. This is what happens when you are hit in the middle of a project with a pandemic. Like clearly, like there's a lot that happens all of a sudden when you're like, everything's great. Oh my God, we still have months of work to do on this. And suddenly people aren't in the office. It's impossible to get a hold of people. People are, quitting or getting sick. Like it was a lot. But yeah, so in the middle of all that happening, I was saying like, hey, look, like we have sort of these seeds that are planted in the game. We talk about it in the book a little bit. Like if you're close reading in the book, you'll notice kind of where it connects to a moment in verse. And I was just going to them like, can we just do something nice for the fandom? Like, I'll just do it. You don't have to pay me. Like, I'll just do it. I just want to do something for people because we're all hurting. And, I just think it'd be nice. I just think it'd be nice to have something out there that people can enjoy. And so, yeah, so I was like, well, what can we do? What seems right? Like, what couldn't we fit into the book? And that just seemed like a great choice because it's something romantic and fluffy and there's sort of a little moral lesson behind it as well. But yeah, it seemed like, okay, this will connect nicely to the novel. It almost feels like a side, like a spin-off of what you kind of see in there. So yeah, no, it was never like, that wasn't like excised from the book or anything like that. But I think the general idea was there, and it just seemed natural. There were already whispers about doing something like that among Blizzard people. So yeah, it all just kind of like, it all just came together.
I was going to say, after I was one of the audio book I listened to the audio version of Shadows Rising, and Susan Wokoma, who was the voice of Talanji, read that, and it was amazing. Going back and playing, like after I finished the novel, going back and playing through, I had this Paladin alt that I was leveling up. It's interesting. I don't know if people will have the same feeling about this, but if you go back through and you're working on, say, your cloak quest or something, there's a lot of tie in there just because all the characters are involved with that. It's something enjoyable that I had with that after listening to the novel, going through the novel, the story and everything taking place, and then going back into the game. I know that people are at this point in time are like, man, I'm so tired of playing. WoW's boring. We're between expansions.
This is the hard part. This is the limbo. Yeah,
it's the limbo.
Alt leveling.
It absolutely is. And it's. I just found I really enjoyed that. Listening to the story, going back into the game, playing. I think a lot of people will do the same thing. And
no, I tried really hard to make it feel like if you wanted to, you could either be listening to the book or reading it and literally like walk through it in the game world. I really wanted it to feel like this is taking place around you. This is taking place. Your character could like stumble upon this stuff happening. Like that was something I felt really strongly about, because sometimes when I've read, connective fiction, not just WoW, but anything, it's like, is this here though? Like, you're not even using locations like from this property. Like, why bother, right? Like, if you have this beautiful, fleshed out, incredible world that people have put so much time and effort into, why wouldn't you take every possible opportunity to make it feel like you're doing it right there, like it's happening right there where your character could see it and experience it? And like every single place that something happens in this book, I could take you there with my character, because I did it. I went and checked, and I went and scoped it out, and I was like, this is where I want it. This is the right mood. This is the right lighting. This is it. So I think some people don't like that, because to them then it feels like fan fiction, but to me it's like, I want that experience. I want that sense of like, this is grounded in the game world that we are all collectively experiencing.
I loved that because as a proud Alliance, I don't have a lot of Horde tunes. We mainly play Alliance, and going through the raid instance of Battle of Dazar'alor, we just plowed through it. It's like, okay, this boss is this boss, and we just went through it.
Don't mind him. He doesn't read quest text.
Question mark, go do it. Just
terrible.
No, but No, but what I was getting to was it was nice to have the story of Talanji's story. I don't really,
You don't know her.
I don't think I don't know her. I don't think about the Horde storyline.
Yeah.
I don't know I leveled the Horde tune, but I didn't read a lot of the things going on. And having her tell the tale of, her remembering the hall of where King Rastakhan was, dealing with the death of her father, how the attack was happening as we were raiding, it was all very well done. And I did appreciate that in the book. And and as a player that, I do like these. I like the bridging books, the bridging stories between expansions like this, because you do get, you get a little bit of lore of the past, and you're getting some of, of what's to come. And
yeah, and to me, it's like that was some of the most fun I had, right? Was doing those sort of things where you're like, okay, this is what you experienced, but what was happening, 10 feet behind you on another side of the wall? Like it kind of gives you this sense of like, oh no, this world is happening around me, even if I'm not seeing it, even if, I like to kind of keep that sort of flavor to it. But I think too, like I've said other places where, so if you do play a Horde character, I feel like so much of Talanji's story is more about her dad and Bwansamdi than it ever is about her. So getting to do this book, it was much more like, well, but what does she feel like about this? What is her actual perspective, not just her sort of putting on a brave face? Like, can we actually see what's happening, inside?
So going into Shadows Rising now, like you said, the focus of the story is on Talanji. How is it decided that is the story that's going to be told? Is that something that you work out together? Is that a story that the Blizzard folks want to be told? Like, what is it about that sort of push and pull, her experiences going through all this? Will she, won't she? What are they going to do with the Horde? Like, all of that. What is it that drives all of you folks collectively to want to tell that story?
Sure. I mean, to be blunt, I mean, that's the story they told me to tell. So I'm going to do I'm going to do what I'm told. But
there you go.
But second of all, but from a more like meta or like from a more behind the scenes sense, to me it makes perfect sense, because Bwansamdi is a huge part of Shadowlands, and how he figures in, how the Loa figure in, how Mwezala figures in, all of that stuff is important. And so I think it was logical that she and Thrall were kind of our linchpin characters for this stuff, because he has this like tenuous connection to the spirit realm. That's another side of the Horde story, is sort of figuring out like what's going on with this, why is this all broken? And then Talanji, who has a more direct sort of connection through Bwansamdi. And so to me, it's that her story is so closely linked to Bwansamdi's, and he is such a dramatic part of Shadowlands, or just in general, that Shadowlands is about death and the other side, and all like how those things are functioning or not functioning. I think that was the way in, right? And I think too, it's like, we had a lot of conversations about like, well, do we make Bwansamdi a point of view character? Sorry, I live by a firehouse, so there's going to be sirens all the time.
Don't you know that we're recording a world-class podcast here?
It's all constant.
Come on, folks.
It's constant. I even have the window shut. It's like 1,000 degrees in here. But so you've got like, Sylvanas and Bwansamdi, right? I think there's this sense of like, oh, let's just be in their heads. But I think that actually removes a lot of the mystery about what's going on. And a big part of this book was trying to not make it so you had to read it before Shadowlands. Like, it's fun, it adds to it, it's an enhancement to Shadowlands, but there's nothing in here that if you didn't know, you would be completely like, confused and lost and things like that. So I think he was the natural sort of segue into Shadowlands, and because she and him have this pact, it was, they kind of come as one together, and because it kind of kills the mystery if you're in his head all the time, he couldn't be a POV character, because otherwise you would just know everything. You would just know exactly what's happening in Shadowlands. So logically you can't be in his head, because then it's all ruined. Same with Sylvanas. You can't be in her head because she has all the pieces, So there's stuff like that where you're just making logical conclusions of like, okay, we want to ramp people up into this story. We want to put all the pieces on the board. We want to foreshadow a bunch of things, but we can't give it away. because one, that's lame, and two, like, people will be mad. So you're kind of you're doing this balancing act of like, it has to be fun and exciting and things have to happen, but at the same time we can't just have Juan Samdi and Sylvanas come out and say exactly what their intentions are 100% of the time. So
that's what we love our villains to do. Just tell us your entire plan.
I've got a lot
of
feedback that's what should have happened. So I'm like, that's
No,
not how storytelling works, my friend. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm very sorry, but
I was actually pleased that Sylvanas was mentioned a few times in the book, and then she, spoiler, she shows up. There's a point at the end of the story where she comes into play, but it's not, she's not central of the whole,
she is a huge part of Before the Storm, and the Alliance is also more a part of that book. So this is sort of a balancing act. This is sort of the response to that book in a lot of ways, where it's more Horde centric. Sylvanas is not a major player. She's felt throughout, right? Her actions are felt, but she's not actually like on screen. So.
And for those people out there who are just like, I just like to play Alliance and that's it, I don't want to hear about the Horde story. No, you really do want to hear the Horde storyline in this, because it was very interesting. It was very well done. Zakan's character was amazing, and I loved his story.
I worked hard on him. I wanted to make a case for him as a larger character.
It was so good.
Really well done.
Yeah.
Well, now Zappy Boy is canon.
That's right.
Now
Zappy Boy's canon. Really, that's it.
and is that your decision, or do they say we got to make him Zappy Boy?
No, that was suggested to me. I mean, because I'm always going to err on the side of like, I don't like to do a ton of fan service. I try to keep things very whatever. But they were like, no, we want Juan Samdi to kind of like do this. So I was like, okay, then he'll do it. So.
Well, and you make a great point about these pre-expansion novels, because that is a push and pull that we've seen over the years with these, is how much do we give away in these so that when players come in, they either know what's going on or they don't. Because I remember with Warlords of Draenor and War Crimes, like, you had to have read that to know
and the
what
shattering
the hell was going on.
I mean, there's a lot of history here with people being angry, and it's hard because then you're on the other side of things where people are like, well, nothing happens in this book. And you're like, well, do you want... I mean, I guess there's a certain contingency of people who would say, like, there shouldn't be books. Like, if it doesn't happen in the game...
There are those.
It shouldn't exist. Yeah. And I get it. Like, I totally hear what they're saying. But I think, hopefully, in Shadows Rising, we found this happy medium where it's like, if you want more and you love these characters, or, like, a character you love features heavily in this book... Like, it's worth your while to come hang out and to check out what happens. And hopefully you have some fun. We keep it very pacey. It's not going to bore you. There's a lot here.
Oh, yeah. It moves quick.
It moves quick, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, if you're one of those people who just couldn't really be bothered with the lore, or you just kind of want to get to Shadowlands, like, you're not going to miss anything that you won't either be caught up on or, will be self-evident in the expansion. So we're trying really hard to kind of please everyone, and I know that's tough. Like, you can't. So obviously you can't please everyone, but this is an attempt to sort of, keep in mind various criticisms and try to keep the fandom happy and try to give them something exciting and fun, but while also not being like, this is absolutely required reading before Shadowlands.
I feel like it's an impossible tightrope act.
It is.
To try to perform
it
between
is,
all of these things.
Yeah.
And I guess, and I appreciate your sort of forthright nature about this. And so, as an author, somebody who has decades worth of your own material that you have brought into this world and cared for and cultivated, how do you strike that balance between, here is what these folks need me to do, versus I have my own thoughts and ideas about where this character should go, or maybe what this person should be doing, or maybe we need to bring this character out from the background to create something that I feel is really powerful or compelling. How do you resolve that within yourself as a writer to be able to find that balance?
It's an interesting question. It's a good question. I think it's the difference between people who like doing this kind of work and the people who don't. And for me, it's okay, well, what can I do on a small scale that matters? And how can I give you a new understanding of this character that's compelling and exciting and makes you sort of stop and go, oh, maybe I need to rethink this person. Like maybe there's something else here. Maybe there's more here that I didn't necessarily think about, especially with someone like Zakan, right? Where it's like, it's so easy to be like, oh, he's a meme, like, but to give him a personality and depth and sort of like round him out, right? Like that to me, like I love a challenge. I love a dare. Like if you dare me to do something, I'm gonna do it. So
I've seen the hot pepper video.
Right, yeah. So yeah, and that wasn't even. I did it a second time for charity, and I almost vomited on stream. So, yeah. But the thing is like to me, it's exciting. It's hard. Like it is hard because you don't get to direct everything. You are under strict parameters. You are told, no, you cannot do that, even if it seems like it would help the narrative or whatever. And so there's two tensions where it's like, God, I would love to do whatever I want, but I also am a fan of this and I understand this world. I think I understand this world. And so how can I take what I know about World of Warcraft, what I love about it, and take that and like infuse that into something in a way that changes your perspective a little bit. And even if I just do it with one character or one scenario, like to me, that's a success because these characters are so big. They're so larger than life. They have 20, something like, Thrall and Jaina. These people have been around for 20 years. Like, how can I take what I know about them and what I love about them and sort of grow your understanding of them? And if I can do that, then I think I've accomplished something. So for me, it becomes attacking it on a much smaller level, on a much more emotional level, because I know I can't be, killing people off and, doing all this other stuff. So, so to me, I just try to look at it more as like, all right, like, how do we attack this in a way that's interesting? Like, you don't get to call all the shots. So what else can we do? Where else can we kind of bring something, like Jarek and that whole chapter, like that's me. Like I brought that, like, I was like, I really want to push for a different side of Anduin where we really like, who is this guy friends with? Like, what does he do? Like, what does he do when he's not the king, right? He's 18 years old. Like he doesn't have any friends his age. That's messed up. Like that would ruin you as a person. You would be fundamentally broken on a level I don't think we appreciate when you've lost your father publicly, horribly. Now you're the king. Now all your friends are 1,000 years old. Like, good luck, So to me, it was like, how do we bring this side to him that's like, shit's bad. like I'm suffering. I am struggling, and how do I deal with it, right? Like how do I let that out? How do I just sort of vent that feeling? So to me, it's like I want to bring those moments that to me feel more human, more personal, more sort of like, this is someone, like all these people still have to be people at the end of the day. And Thrall has a family. He can go talk to Agra and be like, oh my God, you won't believe what so and so did. This is ridiculous, right? But someone like Anduin doesn't have that outlet. He can't really do that. He can't really let down his hair in that way. So, I don't know. So stuff like that, or like some of the Matthias and Flynn stuff, like some of their backstory, I got to color in a lot of that. And again, it's always like I do it, and then they say yes or no. Like obviously, there's a conversation that happens. It's not just me like dictating things, but you find your fun where you can, and try to just really pour your passion into those moments when you can kind of shine and really bring out like the small moments of creativity and invention that you get to have.
And one of the things I think you were most successful at, and I am by no means a book critic. I'm just an idiot with a podcast. So I mean that's as far as my expertise goes. But in my whatever humble opinion, I think one of the greatest successes you had in this book was being able to embody the voices of all of these characters. Zakan, we talked about, I mean, I can hear him as I'm reading, like, that's the guy, that's him. Going through that whole scene with Anduin, and then seeing Jaina, and then this whole thing about shit shoveler Jarek, which that may be the first time there's been a curse word in one of these books.
It's the first shit for sure. I almost got an F-bomb in there. Appreciate it. People have found it, luckily, but I almost got an F-bomb in there. I did get
I did see that.
I did add to Zendali swearing lexicon too. There's I'll take bets on what Zagota means. Just like stuff like that. I was like, yeah, I mean, this is for adults. I know we're like a PG-13 game, but it's meaningful though. Like Anduin swearing is not me just being like, haha. Like it is to me, it's meaningful.
It evokes such a specific feeling of like
exasperation.
I'm just shit Jared. That is it. Everything I feel like I need to know about him, I know with that statement of like who this disguise is, like who they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to be doing. And you're right, having to humanize that character and bring them into what does that look like when your best friend is a werewolf. And you've been responsible for the slaughter of all of these various folks from all over the lands. It just that is some real heavy shit. And somebody somewhere, I mean, I know how I feel after lockdown for a few months and I got to take a vacation. I can't imagine what the rest of this looks like. So
when does he get to take a day off? When does he get to do anything that isn't related to his job? And to go to that bar and see like these are like my peers and they're signing up to die for me. And that would be something that would happen on a daily basis. I think taking those moments out to be like, yeah, we're in a high epic fantasy soap opera here, but these are people at the end of the day. Or to me, like it's more interesting if they are, right? It's more interesting if they're not cardboard cutouts. It's more interesting if they have mistakes and problems and baggage and trauma. Like to me, that's what makes it special, is to sort of, see these people thrive or fail under these very human circumstances. So,
and as Nav said, we're predominantly an alliance focused show, so yeah, more of our questions are about.
I tried to get them in there. I tried with
No, you're
no,
good.
No.
That's what I was going to say is that I found that Anduin's arc through this story, it's the main focus is on the Horde. It's on Talanji. What's going on? That is all great stuff. Wansamdi. What's going on with Sylvanas' boyfriend? He's in a doghouse.
Poor boy.
All that stuff, right? It's all great. I thought Anduin's arc, particularly with respect to Alleria and Taralia, very interesting to watch. And as the author, you're the best person to ask about this. Watching them have success with a torture scheme,
they're waterboarding essentially. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I was going to say. I don't know if that's supposed to be an allegory of U.S. Torture methodology, but it sure has that feeling of like, I'm going to hold you down and I'm going to pull out of your brain what I need. And when you are so desperate to find your answers, to get what you need, how low are you willing to go, right? And that I think speaks a lot about our species, quite frankly. But the way that you wrote that, you evoke that sort of, oh shit, like, this feels bad, but they are getting results. Like, I don't.
Well, what I like the most is that I think the audience expectation, right, is that Jaina's going to go back and tattle on them, and Anduin's going to be horrified. Like, I think everyone expects that he's going to be like, oh my god, no, I didn't tell them they could do that. And instead he's like, well, it worked.
I need answers. Yeah. I need something. Up to the point where, and we've seen this now for a while, and we've talked about this on this show here, about we have been waiting to kind of see the fallout with Anduin of how this cost is finally going to come due for him, where he's absorbed all of this emotional damage over time. And then finally at the end, as you've talked about with other folks, as people are theorizing left and right about what's going on with him, in particular when he's talking to Sierra, and is this a moment of weakness? Is this a moment of power? Is he tapping into void energy? Is he tapping into, is he, as Nav said to me once, is he switching specs? Is he going shadow for a hot second? Like what is the dynamic here? And I understand that it sounds like this is something that was given to you as like, hey, we got to slip a little something into the book here about this. I guess the question I have for you is, do you have your own theories about what is happening in that moment? Could you share them if you do, or if you can't, just tell me now.
I mean, I'm going to answer this in the most diplomatic way possible. First of all, I don't know. Okay. So this is pure speculation. Again, I was given need-to-know basis information for this book. So I'm not even in the beta. So I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
We'll get you in.
Okay. Well, my character's in it. That's all I care about.
There you go.
So.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations on that, by the way. You have your own NPC. You won the game. Didn't you know that?
I quit. I quit writing now. I'm done, I guess. Yeah, no, for me, what I would say is, my speculation is that it signals that a test is coming, right? That like, he is kind of this golden boy. He's sort of managed to keep all of his morals and ethics intact, and they're questioned in this book, which was some of the most interesting stuff, I think, which is seeing him sort of say like, no, the ends justify the means. And I think what it signals is that version of him will be tested soon. Like, there's something coming down the pipe that's really going to make him decide, you know, do the ends justify the means, or is it better to just decide your boundaries and hold fast to them?
And I don't know if this is something that is intentional or something that plays out down the line, but I think over the years we've seen where the handling of Anduin has been, you know, was at one point sort of this support for Varian, where Varian is, you know, very brash and, you know, fight first, ask questions later, that kind of thing, and Anduin kind of coming in as the support of like, you know, hey bro, we got another way we can also do this, you know, try to calm down a little bit. And maybe seeing now that other side of him, you know, as I think as we all get older, we start to understand our parents a little bit better.
Yep.
And now it unfortunately probably younger than most folks, but given the position he's in, as you've described, he has to grow up a little sooner. And now seeing that same kind of, I want to do this thing, and it's going to cause some damage, but is that really the best course of action or not? And you see him, and I love the way that you paint that moment where, you know, this little tendril appears and he gets this little piece of energy in his hand. Everybody's like, oh shit.
Yeah, when Shaw and Jaina are worried, everyone should be worried.
Yeah, and Jaina in particular, because we've seen the, you know, and again, great question for you since you're the author, comparisons to Arthas.
Yeah, a lot of have been drawn, which is interesting. It was something that came up when we were writing it, and people were like, oh, we're seeing a lot of like Arthas parallels here. They're like, you know, and I was like, cool, good, right? Like, that's good. Like, I like cyclical storytelling. So
the similarities between Arthas and Anduin, that wasn't handed down from Blizzard.
No, that actually came out just as we were working on it. It just sort of emerged organically. Okay. Especially, it started first kind of like poking its head above the surface in that scene with him and Jaina in the map room. Like, I think that was when we were all sort of like, oh, he's kind of like channeling Arthas here. Like, this is interesting, you know, like this is cool. Like, let's see what this means. Let's see where this goes. And to me, what I think this book is most interesting for Anduin is him sort of, he's always been at the mercy of other people telling him what to do. And I think in this book, we finally see him consulting himself more and checking in with his own sort of voice and his own like knowing of like, okay, I've listened again. I've listened to Tyrande in the past. I'm listening to Turallion. I'm listening to all these people. Jaina's here. Everyone's telling me what to do, right? But I think this is one of the first books where we really see him tapping into like, what's my voice saying though? Like, what's my own knowledge telling me? And I think that'll be interesting going forward to kind of see whether he defaults back to just taking advice or whether he sort of leans into that sense of like, no, like, I know what's best. Like, I'm the leader of the Alliance. Like, yes, I listen. I'm appreciative of what you all have to say, but like at the end of the day, like, I'm the one making these calls.
So as sort of this is a good question for you because you're a night elf person.
I am, yeah.
Right? Yes. I have seen on more than one occasion a bristling, let's say, at the suggestion that the King of Stormwind is the leader of the Alliance, and particularly with a night warrior out there running wild. Is there a balance of power issue that could eventually, do you think, shift over where the Night Elves are seeing more play at the head of this whole affair? Because it seems like they've taken really a back seat far too often and far too long. But now you have one of the most powerful beings, I think, in our cosmos at the head of your team. Is that something where you think that there could be some sort of resolution there and the Night Elves are maybe a little bit more in the lead? Or is it just too far down the road right now? We got to see how this whole Sylvanas thing plays out. Because I really thought you struck the right chord with
Yeah,
our Night Warrior, because she ain't happy.
Writing Tyranda's dialogue in this book was some of probably the most fun I've ever had in my entire writing career. I really feel very happy with the way I got to portray her. But that's hard to comment on because I do know a little bit of stuff that's coming, and I just don't want to like give it away. But I do think there's plenty in the book that tells you what's coming. I really do. I think the interaction, particularly between Maiev and Tyrande, I think is really meaningful in this book. I think the sense of, you know, the Night Elves to me have always felt very passive and very peaceful, and in a good way. Like I'm a pacifist. I don't even know if I could kill in self-defense. Like I'm a hyper pacifist, and so to me, I think there's a lot of meaning when Maiev is sort of reflecting on her own journey of vengeance and how much it's driven her and what it meant for her. And then to also be in the room with Sira, someone who is currently only driven by carnage and filling the hole with violence. And that's like how she kind of feels anymore, is to hurt people. And to have those two kind of contrasted against Tyrande, who in many ways is also there, where the only thing that feels good is to just hurt someone and to just act out vengeance, kind of not blindly. Obviously she has a lot of motivations.
Cause.
Yeah, there's a lot of cause, there's a lot of justification. But I think to sort of reflect, I think she's in a moment of transition again. You know, like we've seen her transition from Tyrande to Night Warrior to where she is now, which is perhaps another moment of transition. And I don't know, it's interesting because I think my instinct as a person who loves the Night Elves and who's my first character was one, my main is one, is to be like, yeah, like F it up, right? Like go like take over the world, like do this. But then when you really think about what they're about and who they are, I don't actually think that's correct. In a lot of senses, I don't think that's actually the instinct of the Night Elves, is to be conquerors and weapons of vengeance. I don't know. That to me doesn't feel quite right. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think it's coming, right? It's hard to speculate because I don't want to like give stuff away. But to me, it's this sense of like, I think people's bloodthirstiness is interesting, because I think in this book and in this property as a game in general, we can reflect that back to you and say, is that what you want? Is that the right instinct? Is to just want blood for blood? Like, is that who we are? does that make us stronger, or does that make us the people we hate in the end?
That doesn't always work out very well.
Yeah. And I think, you know, this book, I think actually in general has a lot to say about vengeance and hero worship and things like that. So, yeah. And again, we're dealing in video game morality, which muddies the waters, because again, none of this really, you know, like this is all on a scale that's impossible to sort of make a real world adjustment to. But for me, even so, like, yes, I'm a Night Elf. Obviously, I was devastated by what happened to Teldrassil. But to me, the answer isn't like, okay, now burn down every Horde city. I'm like, I mean, that's also innocence. Like, they had literally no say in what happened at Teldrassil. So to just want to like wipe Thunderbluff off the map or whatever, like, to me, that's just more violence that doesn't solve anything. So
that was the rumor at one point. We were like, uh-oh. What's gonna happen?
So and again, it's like, it's so devastating as players to see, like, you know, now we don't have the Undercity, now we don't have Teldrassil. Like, do you want more of that? Do you want more of that to happen? Do you want more of your cities to be gone? Because I sure don't. I don't know, but that's just my feeling.
Yeah, when they wiped a bunch of stuff out with Cataclysm, that went over real well.
Yeah.
So
took my Sprite Darter quest away. I'll show you, Blizzard.
Maybe give your one to your NPC. You can have one just, you know, flying around.
I have Brightwing tattooed on my body, so my Sprite Darter is eternal.
Even better.
Awesome.
Well, one of the lasting real world, I don't say consequence in a bad way, that I do think comes out of this book, and is something that's also gotten a lot of attention, rightfully so, is representation. And that's something, I don't know, we talk a lot about, and it's such a welcome addition to our little corner of the universe to see the characters that you have, and a lot of the focus goes on Shaw and Flynn, which, by the way, you just nailed Flynn's voice. It's so good.
We get along very well.
It's so good. I mean, congratulations. It's having just played also through some of those quest lines while I was reading. It's like it's the same damn guy. So great job on that.
Thank you.
But it's so refreshing to see that, the interplay between those two, but even the other ways in which it's not even made out to be some, oh, look at this. It's like it's a normal part of the society of, let's say, where you have the father that's pleading to Talanji, and the daughter wants to get married, and you have these two women that are having their marriage. You have, I think, another spouse that's grieving over his husband
from Marathi. Yeah,
it's those kinds of things that I know for us, we're always looking out for that. I think it's something that a lot of us are just hyper aware of right now, because representation in the real world in general is something that is deserving of a lot more attention, and we're seeing a lot more of that now. For you as a writer, they come to you, they say, this is something we want to make explicit, we want to start adding some of these things in. Where is that line between what they're asking for and what you're putting in as the author, saying, we need to pump this up or make this more direct, or maybe play with it a little more, but making sure that we include this now as part of our universe to continue to grow?
Sure. I don't know if there's a line so much as it was just a mandate of do it. These two guys are in love. Make it happen for us on screen. And I was like, cool, got it, can do. And my other books are very inclusive in terms of sexuality, in terms of race, in terms of everything. So to me, it was no stretch at all. In fact, it was just sort of what I would do normally. So that wasn't a stretch. I would say, like, obviously, I would have loved to have like an explicit, like, a romantic night between the two of them.
That's it. I think that's it. Is it felt almost a little too indirect at some points?
Well, for me, it's like, this is step one. This is phase one. And if it all happens in this book, then it never happens in the game, right? And to me, it's like, you have to balance that out of, like, we're planting the seeds here so that it can thrive. I mean, they have another book coming out in a few months. The Christy Golden book coming out.
Yes.
The two of them together. And
already pre-ordered.
Yeah, right. So it's like, this is the ramp, right? It started in the heist in Dazar'alor, and now I'm carrying the torch a little further, and then Christy carries a little further. Like, what I like is that we're simulating a romance sort of happening over time, in real time, in the way it does in the real world, where sometimes it isn't immediate, wham bam, we meet, the next second we're in bed. There's sort of this slow burn, right? And
it's more organic that way,
right? And to me, that's how love unfolds for everyone. And to me, it's quite, I don't know, I think it's kind of romantic that they're gonna get multiple books, and then then maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get a quest where we go to their wedding. I don't know, again, speculation.
I'd love that,
but I'm just saying, like, I'm starting it, right? I'm lighting the flame, and then the flame travels up the wick a little further, and then Christy carries that, she lights another fire, and that goes a little further, and then in the game. And I think, again, carrying through the theme of, we're not trying to do anything in this book that would be like an ambush if you see it in the real world. I think there's room for them to grow on screen in the game world, and we've just sort of ignited that. But the other stuff, the stuff in the prologue, the with the two men that have, there's sort of this sadness, this tragic feeling, and then also with the two girls in Zandalar, like, those were mine. Those were just things I felt belonged. I don't know. It's just when you're just writing, it just seemed like the right time. It just seemed like the right place, and they obviously gave it their blessings. So, to me, it was just like, if we're gonna start seeing this stuff more and more and more, if we're gonna start embracing diversity and representation, if we're going to speak to the LGBTQIA+ community in World of Warcraft, then it shouldn't just be this one couple. It should be felt throughout. So,
right.
to me, it just felt, and to just put, I guess it's now soft coded into the lore of Zandalar that, same-sex marriage is a thing, like, and that wasn't even a conversation. That wasn't a like, oh, can we do this? It just was like, yep, okay, we can do that. So
this feels right.
Yeah, it feels right. And they were matriarchy anyway, but to me it just seemed right, and so we did it. And to me, this is just the first step into a new era of the way this will be played out in the universe. And I would not expect it to go down from here. I would expect it to only go up. This is
better not.
Yeah, no. This is phase 0, right? Like this book is phase 0. Now we have Shadowlands with a whole bunch of more representation. We have the opportunity to have Flynn and Shaw on screen together. It's just, to me, it was like, of course, yes, good. It's about time, right? Like there was no it wasn't a conversation in terms of like, should we? It was like, do it. And I said yes. So it's I think if anything, this should signal to people, like, if you want out, get out now, because this is only, this is phase 0. There's going to be representation. There's going to, we're seeing more skin colors. Thank God in character creation. We've got Pelagos. We've got all this. Like it's only going to be more representative from here on out. So
we were pretty pumped about Pelagos.
Me too. Can I give him a book? I would love to write a short story. I'd love to give him a short story. Yeah.
We would love to talk to you about that book, whether you do it or not. That'd be phenomenal. It's those kinds of steps forward. And like you said, it's at times it could be incremental. For as Nav and I have talked about, we're straight white dudes. We've never known what it's like to have to fight uphill on pretty much most things, if not all things, right? And so seeing those little steps that get taken, and in a real world sense, and if you'll forgive me, just a little brief story of how this kind of thing can impact folks in the real world is that when I was, as I said, recently playing through just the intro to Battle for Azeroth stuff, just those intro quests, I had my son with me. He's 9. And as we're going through, we're seeing Jaina, doing all this stuff, and her mom, and then here comes Flynn, and we're flying around and doing stuff with him, and we get back to Borealis. And I say, to my son, hey, check it out. See Flynn here? Yeah. See Shaw? Yeah. Those two are together now. This happened in our book. They're boyfriends now. And he goes, really? That's awesome.
Oh.
He said, I thought that Flynn would have maybe gotten together with Jaina. And you see how that's how these kinds of things start. It's like, for him, Jaina is like the most beautiful person and the lead. And then here's Flynn, his favorite guy.
Sure.
And so, to him in his mind, it's like, this is the natural connection, is that my favorite people are going to get together.
Yep.
But when you introduce those new elements, it's just a little bit more of that change that now suddenly opens all these other things up.
Yep. Again, when you introduce it to someone who hasn't had decades of, socializing and brainwashing, essentially, to tell you something is abnormal, when you just introduce it to someone as what it is, you're like, it's astounding how humans just accept it. So
it is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I only again, like, I got to carry their little torch as many feet as I could, and I wish them the very best. I only hope they get the very happiest of endings. That's obviously
I hope
I'm
so.
very fond of them. So
I would love a gay wedding in Warcraft. I think that would just be phenomenal.
I will be there with bells on, let me tell you.
I'll wear whatever they want me to wear. I just want to show up. That's it. So you have been very gracious with your time, and I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us. If you'll indulge me just for one more question.
Sure.
What are you looking forward to most with Shadowlands?
Ooh, I'm really excited for Ardenweald because I love all that colorful, druidy, exciting stuff. Like, I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is my aesthetic. I can't wait to go. I can't wait to see it. On a very selfish note, I can't wait to see my character in the Meldrax's Covenant Hall. That will be. I'll probably cry again, just like I did when someone sent me the first screenshot. So. yeah, I think those are my two.
So they didn't even tell you about that. Somebody just popped that on you and was like, hey.
I knew it was a possibility. I knew I was asked if it was okay, and I said yes, but I thought it would be sort of dressed up. Like, I thought my name would be like hidden, sort of. I didn't realize it's going to be like, it's her. So, yeah, no. I didn't know it had gotten through. I didn't know it was accepted, because there's like a whole thing that has to happen for that to be accepted. So, no, it was a shock the first time someone tweeted it at me like, hey, you're here. I had no clue and immediately started weeping. So, yeah, no, I'm excited to go see her for myself. So
that's fantastic. Us too. We're very excited. And
Make sure you hug her every time you run by.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wave and hug and take little selfies and be like, hey, we talked to her once. It was amazing.
For my own selfie. That'll be fun.
Well, we can't thank you enough for coming.
No,
it's really been.
This was great. Yeah. This is super fun.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and we are really excited to see what's coming next for you. Do you have anything else? Any other projects coming up that you want to plug before we jump out of here?
Oh my gosh. Just this. Honestly, if you like World of Warcraft, please buy Shadows Rising on any platform. Super appreciate it. I have 2 books coming out next year, but they're well down the pipe. Don't worry about it. If you follow me, you'll hear about them. One's sci-fi, one's young adult cosmic horror. So if you're into Cthulhu and all that there'll be a book for you. My first cosmic horror book. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at AuthorRoux. Same on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Just search my name. I'm there, and you'll hear about all my upcoming books. But right now, we're just here for Shadows Rising. So
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Get out there, people. Buy the book. You know what to do. Spend your hard-earned money. Give some to her because she earned it. It's a great book. Shadows Rising. Get in the know. Madeleine, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you down the road when you're writing the next book.
Hopefully, yes. Thank you so much.
Once again, I want to thank our guest, Madeleine Roux, for stopping by our humble warrior's den to talk life, love, and Warcraft. We wish her nothing but success with this and all future endeavors, and we hope to find some excuse to have her on again in the future. As for us, you can always find me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage, Navox at NAV_OX, and this show at Unshackled_Fury. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high. And we'll see you next time. Farewell.